Hi everyone, it's Duchess. Before the internet and the age of online gaming coverage, there was a different way for enthusiasts to stay in the loop on the latest game releases, industry news, and insider information: print magazines. In an era when gaming was still finding its footing as a mainstream form of entertainment, print magazines were dedicated to this budding medium as a vital connection between developers and players. From the classic Nintendo Power to the iconic EGM, Game Informer, and beyond, video game magazines provided a physical gateway into gaming culture. Their vibrant pages reviewed the hottest titles. They gave a behind-the-scenes look at the people, personalities, and production cycles that brought these interactive experiences to life. In many ways, the DNA of modern gaming media can be traced back to these formative magazines. Their legacy is one of sparking profound interest, shaping gaming discourse, and quite literally putting this blossoming art form into the hands and homes of eager audiences for the very first time. So let's take a nostalgic journey through the most iconic and influential gaming magazines of the 20th and 21st century. From their modest beginnings to their industry-shaping impact, we will rediscover how these pioneering publications laid the groundwork for video game journalism as we know it today. While niche hobbyist publications covered video games to some degree in the early 80s, it wasn't until 1988 that the first true gaming magazine hit newsstands: Computer Entertainment. Published by Mastering Computing, this bi-monthly served as one of the first dedicated outlets giving in-depth coverage to the then-emerging world of home console and computer gaming. Though its run was short-lived, Computer Entertainment established gaming media as its own distinct segment within the larger magazine publishing landscape. It was a precursor, however, to what would become a phenomenon just a year later: Nintendo Power. Launched in 1988 as a joint venture between Nintendo of America and publishing company Demand Media, Nintendo Power captured imaginations at a crucial juncture. Just a few years prior, the catastrophic video game crash of 1983 had brought the industry to its knees. Revenues plummeted from $3.2 billion in 1983 to just $100 million by 1985, with major companies like Atari facing bankruptcy. Against this dire backdrop, Nintendo Power's wild success resurrecting mainstream interest in gaming was nothing short of remarkable. As the official periodical of the gaming juggernaut, each issue offered exclusive maps, strategy guides, and behind-the-scenes developer features for hot Nintendo releases. But beyond the original content, Nintendo Power crucially fostered a sense of community and culture around gaming that was sorely lacking in the industry's dark ages. With an initial print run of 3.6 million issues for its premiere edition, Nintendo Power's staggering popularity signaled a watershed moment. Video games have risen from the ashes, now a mainstream juggernaut worthy of their own print media institution. As Nintendoism gripped the nation, Nintendo Power's circulation swelled to over 1 million by 1992. Letters from kids, teenagers, and adults alike flooded its offices, evidence of its ability to reignite and engage a captive audience hungry to celebrate gaming culture. With its unparalleled access, passionate fan focus, and transformative impact emerging from crisis, Nintendo Power catalyzed video game journalism's evolution from a niche fanbase to big business venture. It blazed a trail that other magazines would quickly follow.
Hey, plumber boy, mustache man, your worst nightmare has arrived.
Round one, fight!
As the 1990s dawned, the winds of change swept through the gaming magazine sphere. No longer was mainstream media centered solely on Nintendo's singular vision. A new era of multi-platform gaming had arrived, with Sega, Sony, and others vying for market supremacy. It was the ideal climate for a new voice to emerge, one that could provide an authoritative, independent perspective amid the clash of the console wars. That voice belonged to Electronic Gaming Monthly. Launched in 1989 by writers Steve Harris and Ed Semrad, EGM immediately established itself as a central hub for serious games criticism and journalism. Its seasoned staff's razor-sharp reviews, deep-dive features, and absence of corporate allegiance struck a chord with gamers seeking an impartial assessment of the rapidly expanding gaming landscape. With his signature satirical voice and no-holds-barred critiques, EGM stood in contrast to the often breathless cheerleading of his contemporaries. Its reviewers became household names, their opinions shaping the hits that defined generations of gaming. While Nintendo Power excelled at building hype and community, EGM represented the professionalization of games media, crafting a new breed of journalism that blended entertainment with intellectual discourse. As fighting games, first-person shooters, platformers, and more exploded in popularity, EGM adeptly surfed gaming's genre waves each month. It spotlighted the classics and unearthed the hidden gems, becoming an essential resource for enthusiasts. With its irreverent attitude and authoritative voice, EGM rode gaming's late 20th century explosion to stratospheric heights. Its circulation soared over 500,000 by the late 90s as it evolved into one of the industry's big two magazines alongside GamePro. Likened by writers to be the Rolling Stones of games media, EGM's success lay in maturing coverage to meet gaming's transition into a respected artistic medium and cultural force. Its legacy endures as the spark that transformed criticism from fanfare to esteemed critique. No retrospective on classic gaming magazines would be complete without exploring their essential companion pieces, the official strategy guide and cheat code books. These books served as invaluable resources for dedicated gamers looking to uncover every hidden secret and exploit. For many, these books became just as indispensable as the magazines themselves. I remember my brother and I having stacks of Prima Games strategy guides scattered around the house. My copy of The Sims 2 University Life Guide was permanently etched into my memory after I spent weeks reading and rereading it cover to cover, determined to master every aspiration path and hidden interaction. On the other end of the spectrum were cheat code books, unauthorized collection of codes, tricks, and glitches to power up characters, unlock levels, and otherwise bend games to players' whims. These were the wild west of gaming resources, filled with equal parts legitimate cheats and notoriously unofficial cheats such as GameShark or Game Genie codes. Whether used for strategic completionist purposes or to enable virtual playground anarchy, these physical expansions of magazines' traditional content formed an entire cottage industry. They capitalized on gaming's cultural renaissance and gamers' insatiable quest for an extra competitive edge or desire to pull back the development curtain. While I was born as the internet rose to prominence, I unfortunately missed the heyday of gaming magazines, only catching their final trail in the 2010s. Don't get me wrong, I love my generation, but there are moments when I find myself thinking, I wish I had experienced that era. Nowadays, I've become an avid collector of vintage video game magazines and strategy guides, amassing issues that transport me to a bygone time. However, with media consumption being primarily online, these physical relics often find themselves collecting dust on my bookshelf after a single nostalgic read. There's a bittersweet quality to poring over these magazines, a tangible connection to gaming's transformative past, yet one tinged with the melancholy of a fading era. Each well-worn page serves as a reminder of the vibrant communities that once pored over these publications with fervent devotion before the digital age changed media consumption forever. However, that isn't to say that interest in gaming magazines has totally dissipated. In fact, it has seen a fascinating resurgence in recent years driven by devoted enthusiast communities. When the legendary Nintendo Power shut down in 2012 after nearly 25 years in publication, many fans were heartbroken at the loss of their beloved brand ambassador to Nintendo's franchises. However, this vacuum created an opportunity for an unlikely phoenix to arise from the ashes. In 2013, a small team launched an independently produced periodical called Nintendo Force, fashioned as a spiritual successor to Nintendo Power by fans for the fans. Despite operating without any official licensing, the magazine quickly cultivated a strong following among gamers nostalgic for the glory days of Nintendo-focused coverage. Nintendo Force's very existence demonstrated the enduring passion for physical gaming magazines, providing a modern take on the classic publication experience. From its professional-grade content to its vibrant aesthetic, it strived to recapture the essence that made Nintendo Power a cultural institution. While the digital gaming space grows more by the day, upstart publications like Nintendo Force have proven that a demand still exists for the personal connection and art-driven prose of physical magazines. For decades, video game magazines stood as gaming's premier cultural institution and connection to its ever-evolving landscape. What started as niche hobbyist newsletters blossomed into a thriving media phenomenon that helped transform games from passing fad to mainstream spectacle. Beyond just coverage, these magazines became tangible gateways through which gaming spirit flowed. The enthusiasm jumped off each page, engaging readers through vibrant artwork, earnest fan sections, and unmistakable passion from the writers. While their storied reigns eventually sunsetted with digital media's rise, video game magazines cement a legacy as gaming's first jump into journalism as we know it today. And though fallen from mass prominence, their impact endures in every angle of today's gaming sphere, from the guiding voice of critics to thriving fan communities to gaming's institutional recognition as a vital art. In many ways, we are all living in the radiant future these pioneering publications first envisioned decades ago. Our modern era's boundless interactivity, virtually photorealistic vistas, and gaming's ascension to cultural vanguard stands as video game magazines' truest monument. So while their successors may manifest through digital screens, their spiritual fire burns eternal. The past masters may have put down their quills, but the stories they started telling will continue to unfold for generations of gamers to come. And that's my take on this. Thank you for watching the video. If you're someone who loves exploring the depths of the gaming community, hit that subscribe button below and turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. See you guys later.